Hey, Tom, can you hear me? I don't know if you can hear me, but I cannot hear y'all.
He was muted.
Okay, perfect.
Hi, Cinco.
Hi.
I wish you were here.
I know, I wish to, but at least I can do it like this.
Yes. Now, how do I go back to the command page? Yeah, that's not what I want. Find spot.
John will be here in a minute, head run, get it over.
All right. She's taking his golf cart across the street.
I was to take my picture, it'll be quick.
That's what they have.
And then, yeah, and then this is all these.
That's fabulous. Thank you so much.
You guys are in capable hands.
Let's see what
You
you
know, if it
guys.
gets out of control, just reeling in.
Reeling in. Right. Focus, focus, focus.
I'm gonna get you a binder, just give me a second. Hello, how are you?
What am I teaching you about? Lord have mercy. Jonathan's coming. I'm like, what? This is like, y'all are just testing me. Y'all are the pledge ship.
No, just think I'm gonna do these.
Yeah.
Okay. No pressure, Tom. None at all. See, if I put pressure on you, then if you come in mine, you put pressure on me, and I don't like that.
No, there will be none of that.
Like, no pressure, but not myself. You know, sometimes it's been so long, like since I've done open houses.
Yeah.
So it never hurts to.
It does not. I agree. So I brought a couple of handouts that I just kind of wanted to pass out to you guys as examples. Oh, my gosh, shit, this is good.
Some kids go to college forever. Some kids just go to real estate. I see nothing.
These are just supplements that I use for open houses and that I designed, so I'm just bringing them as examples. For you to have.
Other than Rhonda, does anybody else need an Ignite binder?
And then what? I have one at home.
Oh, well, that's not my problem.
Sorry.
That's okay. Do you want me to bring you off a copy upstairs so you can have it?
No, I'll look for it.
It's okay.
Are you sure? I will print it off.
I already asked Tom if I needed.
We're gonna go through page by page.
Okay. I was gonna say, I'll print it off.
No, why don't you get me first?
Thank you.
You got one. All right, so thank you guys for joining me today. First thing I think we should do is just introduce ourselves and where we are in our careers and why we're here. And I can talk a bit about what I hope we learn or talk about today, and then you guys can throw in there. So person sitting behind Paige, since I don't know you, I'm gonna let you go first. Do you mind?
No, my name is Rhonda. I had my license for less than 10 days, so I'm just getting started.
Yeah.
Super, super excited. I started this process March of last year, and lots of things have happened. And blah, blah, blah. I'm here. And I do work a full-time job, so I'm working on, I've been there for 26 years now, and I'm looking at retiring in the next year or so from there and doing this.
What is it that you do at your other job?
HR for Anheuser-Busch. They have a metal container company. They have a company called Metal Container in Oklahoma City. They produce 42 million loads a day, and there's 2 of us on our HR team. So I've been doing that forever, and I thought, you know what? I love working with people. I've been in real estate forever. I'm ready to do this.
And so you got your license ready to go.
My license, the only thing I'm waiting on Penny. I'm going by there today after this class to talk to Penny about getting my application through and all. That's all I'm waiting for.
That's great.
So yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome. Thanks.
I'm Paige. I've had my license for about 4 months now. I'm a baby, but I've always wanted to do this. I'm still in college, and I'm doing this full time now. I quit my job about a month ago. So.
That's awesome.
I'm Jonathan Gregory. I've been here a little over 2 years. Working up there. Here, been a realtor for about 5 years. Got a team. Curtis on the team. Dinah's the newest one on the team. Next thing is on the Zoom.
She is.
But
I am.
as that first hire
Feeling.
Keller Williams is by far much better real estate company than any I've come across.
Curtis?
I'm Curtis Parker. I've been here just under a year now. Jonathan's team is sincere. I had never even bought a house in my life. I just drove a truck for 34 years and decided I was going to do something different, so I did. So March will be a year.
Awesome.
Me?
Mhm.
Kara Cavallo, and I'm the baby group. I've been a licensed agent for 17.5 years, and I've been in this office the entire time.
That's
So,
so awesome.
and I'm just here just to freshen up the skills for the business.
Thoughts, new thoughts, always new thoughts.
That's right.
Yeah.
Never stop learning.
Jackie?
Jackie Bruce. I've been licensed for 2.5 years and just came to Keller Williams in July. And what else?
What do you want to get out of today?
Well, I've been coming to all the Ignite classes since, I don't know, when they started. Yeah. And just, again, learning more about open houses. I have
I've done quite a few of them, but I don't feel like I'm all that great at them. So.
We're gonna talk a lot about that, because you see them all the time, but you rarely experience a great one.
Yeah.
You know, and so what makes a great open house?
My name is Diana. I'm from Russia and I got my license like 2 weeks ago. Commercial real estate in Russia, so I help people to sell like shops and some buildings, construction companies also with a building. That's real estate, but it was more like selling the business with some profit. We have to invest in real estate, so we're always looking for houses to rent out. And I switched from my last job because I used to be a skydiving instructor. I jumped with other people on me like 10 times a day. And then I realized that I'm pregnant. And it was fine for 3 or 4 months. And then I'm like, it's not fine anymore. So now I'm 9 months pregnant. I hope to be back to skydiving, but now just for weekends.
Wow. Senka, can you hear us?
I can.
Introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm Senka Hayes. It's gonna be in April, a year since I got my license, started with Keller Williams, joined the JDG real estate group team. And from what I've heard, we need to say, what do we get from this class? So I do want to say in April, I think I had like 3 opportunities to do open houses. I did do them. I was brand new agent, so kind of didn't know what exactly I'm doing, but I now want to learn for the future how to do a good open house, great open house. So
That's awesome. Thank you for joining us via Zoom. We wish you were here.
thank you.
So I'm Tom. I've been here for a year and a half. That's it. I got my license, I guess in August of last year. And so I guess it's almost a year and a half now. Retired from a career as an academic after 30 years. So while I feel like there's not, you know, why am I teaching people about real estate after a year and a half? I do have 30 years as a teacher. And so I'm pretty good at delivering material and listening to people and stimulating conversation. So, or at least I should be. I think that one of the most important things we can talk about are transferable skills, right? Because most of us are in this. I mean, I have such admiration for a 19-year-old who has decided to do this while they're in college. I think that's freaking amazing. But most of us are doing this as second careers, or it's just what real estate is. And so I think transferable skills are really important. This is the first skydiving instructor I've ever met. And so, like, you know, the absence of fear, I would imagine, would be a real strength for you. And you're probably not afraid of much. What makes a great open house? Who's doing open houses? How do you feel about them? Let's talk about our experience so far, and then we're really just going to kind of go through page by page and talk. A couple of things that I want to say first. It's possible that I could skip something very important, and so I need you to stop me, right? If you have a thought that I'm not addressing, I need you to stop. And right, this is a two-way street, not a one-way street. I am used to lecturing, and if it can turn that way, that's not the greatest intellectual stimulation that we can have. So it's better if it's two-way. So if I were to, because my experience at open houses can be very different than yours, and so I'm only going to be able to see from my perspective. And so if I miss something or I'm not including something, I need you to stop me so we can talk about it. So who's doing open houses? What are your experiences so far? Jackie, you said you've done a couple.
I mean, they're good experiences. They're not terrible, but I just think I could do better. Like I did one on Sunday for my listing, and it was probably the best open house I've ever had. It's so busy. Talked to a ton of people, but literally every single person that came in had a realtor.
Okay.
So I did not pick up any clients.
Right. And which goes immediately to, you know, what is the purpose of an open house really, right? And how do you see the purpose of an open house? The open house to sell the house?
Nope, to pick up your clients, but I did sell the house. So we got 6 offers and 5 of them came from the open house.
Right.
So,
Which in today's market, 6 offers is,
right.
right? I mean, somebody told me they had a listing with 54 offers in a weekend, right? It is, it's hell. It's not insanity. It's just, it's horrible because you have to,
At 5 p.m. on Saturday, by 6 p.m. on Saturday, we had 6.
yeah. You know,
We didn't set a deadline, we just cut it off there.
right.
We worked
Has
it.
anyone encountered the challenge of not getting to your open house because the house goes under contract? Right? It moves so quickly. And so Rhonda, right? Rhonda? You know, the market you're joining is really, it's a unique market, right? There's not enough inventory and things fly off the shelf. And so what strategies have you used to ensure you actually get an open house out of a listing if you have a listing?
Making it active later in the week.
Okay. What day do you put your houses up active?
Usually Thursday or Friday.
Thursday or Friday? Anybody have thoughts on that, or the benefit to that? Kara, I know you do.
I put one up on Friday, and that way we have, it's usually late on Friday. So that way we have Saturday, and most people, they'll make offers on Saturday, yet the reply time is 24 hours typically. So it allows them to still be able to hold it in the house.
Yeah. Are you now trying to do your open houses on the Saturday or Sunday? Do you have a preferred day?
I have done a couple of Saturday open houses, and it just depends on the time of year.
Right.
And whether.
And the product. Like I've done a house by a school and I just on a whim thought, I'll do an off day, like a Wednesday.
Open houses.
It was packed because of people coming to and from the school.
Yeah.
Right, they saw everything. It was amazing. What about communicating to other agents that there's a hold until acceptance, right? We're going to be accepting offers until this period. Have y'all done any of that? Told people that, right? You have, John? Yeah, that's now my regular practice. If I'm trying to get an open house, I will literally tell somebody, if I put the listing up Thursday and they put a 24-hour thing on it, I will call them back and say, you need to amend that. We're not going to accept offers until Sunday at 6 o'clock. You know, just because of the nature of the offer. I mean, the market.
Is that too soon? I mean, if you're doing an open from 2 to 4, and then you're gonna take offers till 6, is that a little too soon?
The nature of this market, and right shift is our middle name. And so right now we're in a market where if it's priced correctly and it's below $300,000, it is going to be under contract in 3 days, probably by numerous offers. And that's just the nature of this market. And I don't think any of us like it. I don't like it.
I hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but
First market.
right, but it is the nature of the market. And so I think we as agents have to just be looking out for ourselves and figuring out a safety mechanism that gets the open house because we need them. You know?
Database through the house.
Yes. I mean, I can tell you from my personal experience, 70% of my contracts last year came from open houses. 70%. And, you know, and I'm not killing it like you guys, but I did okay. And
Was it on the house you were having an open house for, or they were just clients you picked up and sold other?
picked up, sold other houses. Yet most of my open houses were not my listings, right? Which we can talk about that. But I mean, I consider it fishing. It's just, I mean, all of lead gen to me and prospecting is like fishing. And you just have to figure out what's the bait, right bait, right timing, you know, and open houses by far work the best for me. All right, let's just start kind of working our way through. And we're going to talk more about kind of what makes a good one. I think that Jackie said that it's to pick up database, right? Pick up clients. I think it's both, right? You can't ignore that selling the house is important. It's just not as important in this market, you know, but in the future, it will be, and it will come back and swing in the middle, and it will be really important that we're repping the house and attracting people who can actually purchase the house or might purchase that particular house. But it does put you in the pathway of meeting people in the game, right? More than anything else. And so then it becomes, how do you collect their data? How do you interact with them there? How do you make certain that you're going to get what you need from that experience? This says the NAR in the National Association of Realtors printed in 2019 that 51% of all buyers use open houses to purchase, right? Significant part. And then if you don't have your own listing, which like so many people don't have right now, I'm getting a listing today, but like I haven't had a listing in 2 months, but I'm still doing business, you know, but I'm holding open houses at other people's listings. Have you tried that? Right?
How to try it?
Huh?
How to do this?
How do you do this? Good, thank you. Networking among one another, right? So I can tell you the easiest way, and the easiest way is hardly ever the best way, right? But the easiest way is to simply post on our closed Facebook site, "Hi, I'm Diana. I'm looking to host an open house this weekend. Does anybody have anything available?" Right? And in a normal market, every one of the teams or the superstars would be going, "Yes, please," right? But it's not a normal market. And so even they're, you know, struggling to have enough opportunities for their own agents to be hosting at this point. So there's not a lot of that, but doing that on Facebook, simply posting, and you can post silly things that catch people's eye, but it's really just in-house, so it's not going out to anybody else. And it's about getting to the people who have listings and saying, "I'd really love to host your open house," right?
Or even shadow.
You can ask if you can go. And I think for very beginners, this is certainly the way to go. Don't throw yourself in an open house by yourself. I've shadowed 3 or 4 times, frankly.
I've done 3 open houses, I think.
Right.
The very first one was so stinking busy.
Yeah.
I couldn't talk to
You could be overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And you can hurt business, right? You can hurt your own opportunities by not knowing how to navigate the open house. So shadowing somebody, I think, is really important. But just using Facebook, right? But that's the easiest, and I don't think that's the best. I think the best is to network, and that means walk around and talk to people, right? Get to know people so that they trust you, because Kara is not going to give an open house to just anyone, because she doesn't know. Sarah is not going to give an open house just to anyone, Sarah Fleming. And so, you know, they need to know who you are, because you are representing them, right? It's their listing and you're representing them, even though you're there for your own business. So I think that networking with people, getting to know the people in the market center, tell them face to face, right? For every newbie, my best advice, be at the market center. Second best advice is walk around the market center and talk to people. And everyone here will teach you. There isn't anybody here who won't teach you. This is what, as you said that about Berkshire Hathaway just last night, like that nobody would communicate or talk there, and this place is totally different. And it is. It's part of the culture, and it's something that we certainly want to act upon and use, you know. So does that answer your question? Right. All right. We talk about 3 chapters of the open house. The first is preparation, prepare, prospect, and then pursue. These are the 3. Do you have that graphic in your book? Are you following it all? There's a chart: prepare, prospect, and pursue. And so the preparation is setting up for the open house's success. Prospect is promoting and hosting the open house, and pursue is the follow up and convert to leads. They, on every single chapter in Ignite, I'm being recorded, aren't I? Every single chapter in Ignite mentions the Telephone Consumer Protection Act about not calling people on the do not call list. And it is there to scare the living snot out of you.
Guess the warranty companies don't get those.
No, they don't. And I do know that, you know, Keller Williams and other brokerages are struggling with this because there are people actually suing that are being called. But it's all what I really dislike, Gary Keller, if you're ever going to watch this, is that you're not taking responsibility for really informing us how to avoid these problems. You're basically just saying, hey, I told you so. Now it's your problem. So I would be careful with that. But I would also, like, when you read between the lines here, they're not taking responsibility for your actions in any way. And they're also not really educating you. Like, does anybody know where the do not call list is?
No. I just put mine in there. So
Okay, all right. There's just not a whole lot of resources that I have found. And so I think that that's something that if it's going to be serious, I hope that they address it like it's a serious issue. I don't like fear of liability or responsibility being the deciding factor on how we operate. So preparation. How early do you begin setting up and planning for your open houses? What are y'all's thoughts? Say our open house is going to be on a Sunday. Let's just pick. It's going to be on a Sunday. And what's the benefit of picking our days?
well, it's supposed to be start on Monday, but I usually start on Wednesday. or Thursday.
The book says 7 to 10 days out. I totally disagree. I totally disagree. You know, I mean, I tell you, your signs are going to be stolen. You know, I mean, or just blown away in the Oklahoma wind. You know, so I think 5-6 days is way early. You know, and what does that preparation look like? So if you get your open house, you know what the property is. What does that preparation look like? Say we're going to have an open house at 2 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. Carol, what's that look like for you?
I'm going to start making flyers, have that day, so I'm not doing it Sunday just before I go.
Do you have a specific program that you use to create a flyer, and what does that flyer look like for
I
you?
use Command,
Okay,
and it's really easy, go through designs. and
right. So if for the new people, have you delved into Command at all yet? Good, great. Rhonda, at
a
all?
little.
Right? It's dense. It is dense. I mean, there's so much information in there, but the marketing section is amazing.
Yes.
And you don't really have to invent anything. It's plug and play and change the address,
So
right? It's so
I used to
easy.
use Canva
Yeah,
before KW.
Right.
and it's not easy.
If I can use it, it's easy.
yeah, right. And it looks good,
Yes.
you know?
Canvas hard.
And so you are working on a flyer.
Mhm.
Is that just a normal piece of paper for you?
Usually, yes. And just what I'm going to have there, and then if I'm door knocking, depends on the neighborhood that I'm in, if I'm door knock or not. But I do emails, send out email to my database of the open house. I post it on Facebook, on my personal page, but then also my real estate page. I will share it with other agents.
What about signs?
In a normal market, I would start on Monday afternoon, I would put the open house sign, open house Sunday on Monday in the yard. And then I don't put the signs out on the corners and all until Friday night after 5, because I don't want the city going through and taking them.
They will. The city will actually remove the signs.
You
Right.
also need to know, if you're in an area with an HOA, know what their rules are. Because a lot of times they want to allow signs at the entrance, or, you only have other properties, then you want to make sure you.
Ask about the HOA rules, right? What about asking neighbors to place signs in their yards? Have you ever done that? Yeah. How was that response?
It was great.
Yeah,
You mean like if it's their yard and with the directional there?
Directional
Oh,
signs,
yes,
yeah.
I do that.
Yeah.
That's a way,
I thought you did put my.
that's a way of me to get conversation with that person.
right,
So, hey, I'm having an open house. Bring a
Right.
friend.
You know, it's crazy. I'll take like a $5 Starbucks gift card and ask them if I can leave my sign there. And they're like, you know, ever asked me that. And I'm like, you know how many times I've heard that over 17 years?
Yeah.
Nearly every time.
yeah.
Really?
It is pretty strange if you do the right thing, how often that's the first time that's ever happened for
They
them.
don't care if I give them a $5 gift card or not.
No, but
I just
asking.
started that, and
Right.
I started doing it, you know,
Right,
give my business card to them, and
right,
if they have any issues, give me a call.
right. Where do you get your signs for the new people?
Like, we're my open house signs from Jack Pratt.
Okay, that's up in the city. Okay. Anybody have a different sign supply company? American logo and sign and more?
One sign is closer,
Uh-huh.
I get usually get faster, a little cheaper at Jack Pratt.
And Jack Pratt, right. You can also, for the newbies and people who maybe don't have any branded stuff yet, borrow them, right? People around the market center have signs. And so you can just go ask if they have an open house, and if they don't, can you borrow their signs? One of my favorite things about this business coming out of academia is plagiarism is supported and celebrated here, right?
So true.
Copy, copy, copy. Don't reinvent the wheel. And so we have some people here who have amazing marketing. Just look at what they have and put your face and your name in that same design, and don't reinvent the wheel. And you just can move so much faster that way. Signs in the yard of the house, I think, go up a good deal before the signs around the property.
Yes.
I agree. I think that's very smart. I try to put mine up about 4 on Fridays because I want to get the crowd as they're driving home, right, to the area. I always put them on the major intersections around, and I'll go maybe a mile away, you know, outside. If I am, like, I do a lot of South Ridge, right? That's a neighborhood that I do, and that's by campus. Well, there's no through traffic in South Ridge, right? And so I got to get to 12th. I got to get to, I mean, I do have, you know, Classen I can use right there, but I'll go all the way to the other side of campus and go to Berry and put something pointed back this way, you know? And so I go far out.
Balloons help too.
Balloons help too.
Balloons on my signs.
Yeah. There's a liveliness. If you see a sign with balloons on it on a Sunday at 2, you have this feeling that the open house is going to be lively, right? It's a celebratory feeling, and I think that's a really nice thing. It also attracts kids. So that a bit about signs. What's important that's on the sign? What needs to be on the sign?
Time and date for.
Time and date, right? Address, maybe an arrow pointed the direction where we're going. It's got to be written big enough so that people can see it from 20 yards away while they're moving, right? And so be careful about how small you write on a sign. I've made that mistake before. Yeah, you know. I also discovered, because Berry has such fast traffic on it, if you put the sign right up next to the street, no one sees it. Back the sign way towards the house, so they actually have a longer time to view the sign. All right. As far as calling in our database as the week goes, I think that that's important. I think that you don't want to give people enough time to forget. So I think that, you know, calling before Wednesday or Thursday is probably a waste. But I think hitting people on Wednesday and Thursday, that's a good thing to do. This actually talks about calling the neighborhood. I'm not going to do that, because I feel like that puts me into cold calling, and I could call somebody who doesn't want to be called. But I'm going to door knock the neighborhood every single time. And inclement weather does not matter. In fact, I have found that I get better reception knocking in inclement weather than I get on a sunny day.
Really?
people are like, you are so good at your job. You are so dedicated. Right, and they all think it's funny, you know, and so, yeah. With COVID, you always back up, right? Ring the doorbell, put the thing there, so you don't have to like be with them.
You go going on, you just take the flyer.
Yeah, you take a flyer or a postcard. I didn't bring in my postcards. I've now discovered, get a postcard, 6x8 postcard. You get, they're not even that expensive. They're not much more than running copies here. And punch a hole in them, loop a rubber band through them, lay it over the doorknob of the thing, ring the doorbell and back up 5 steps. And when the door opens up, you just point to it, say, I put a hanger on your doorknob. We're having an open house down the block. The Johnsons are moving. Start that dialogue with them about that there could be traffic in the street, on the block. Please be aware, right? This is the greatest time to pick your neighbor, right? You want to pick your new neighbor. This is the greatest time. You know anybody who might want to move in, you get to pick your own neighbor, right? And then asking them, what do you love about the neighborhood? I want to be able to talk about the neighborhood to prospective buyers. And when people start doing that, you can start writing things down, right? It gives you the opportunity to bring information up in front of them to document stuff. Nobody likes anybody who knocks on the door and goes, can I have your name, number, and email? That's weird. But if you'll start out by asking them questions, what do you like about the neighborhood? And then write that down when it's there, then ask have you thought about moving or listing your house? I know we have clients that are interested in the neighborhood. There are 2 ways to go. No, I'm happy and I'm dying here. And then you know you're done. Or maybe, and there's an opportunity that exists. And then you might be able to get into the conversation of, would you want me to send you any reports from that neighborhood that you mentioned? Do you want any documentation of what your house might sell for, right? And then when you walk away, you now have a new name in your database. You do that to the whole neighborhood. I've had open houses where I collected more information by doing the door knocking than I did by the open house itself.
Especially if you end up doing it 2 or 3 times.
Yep.
Then the people really start to pop.
Right.
That's good.
Right, right. If you're cultivating a neighborhood, like I found that to be, you know, some people call it farming, but then they really do start to know you. You know, you got another open house? Yeah, we're putting up the Miller's house down the street. And it turns into a whole different relationship at that point. I'll post online Friday for a Sunday night, and then I'll re-up it every day, sometimes twice a day, right? And I'll do one of the flyers that I gave you is, I think, the one that says open house on it. This is like my Facebook flyer, and so it says open house. All my branding looks the same, and so when it comes across your Facebook feed, you can recognize it without really having to read it. And so this is what I'll use on Facebook. It'll be different things, right? I think Facebook is so saturated now with information. I think that big graphics matter, things that will catch your eye. So I would spend a little time on what the graphic is for your open house. And then on Sunday morning, I will drive my signs because I know someone stole some of them. And so I will go drive my signs and make certain that they're all there. And if they're not there, I'm putting out new signs. So I have extra signs. I haven't put out all my signs, right? So I will have stuff in case someone is having their own open house down the block and they don't want me competing, or I don't know who takes them.
Put your names on your sign.
I don't yet, but I will. Jerica Pound has the best open house signs that I know of. They're those corrugated plastic signs. They're not expensive, but it has her face on them. And strange, not strange, but like really smart. Jerica's a very pretty lady, right? And she has these signs, and she has, I think, 3, and they're all 3 different faces. Because then what that does is when you drive by a sign, you go, oh, it's like I recognize that face, but it's a different shot. Does that make sense? And so because we start to get to where if you see somebody sign and it looks exactly the same all the time, you don't really pay attention to it. But if you drive by it again, all of a sudden it's like they looked at you a different way, right? And it attracts more attention. Yeah, and so she had to invest more money, but I think she got what she paid for on that. Anybody tried hosting on off times, middle of the week? What do you think about that?
I used to do open houses on Thursdays from 11 to 1, and it was amazing.
Do you remember broker opens?
Yeah.
Yes, no one even know what those are, do you? They don't even know what a broker open is.
Well, it's so awesome. We usually do it on Tuesdays. It would be like a tour, you could take through one and different realtors. We've been holding our homes open, only for other realtors to come through. And you get wonders to help provide food.
It's like a rolling party.
And that's when I gained so much weight. When I started real estate, I weighed 115 pounds. You go, free food and a drawing for money.
A little wine if it's after 4, you know.
It's fun. And that's how you also get to know other agents in the other offices. So when they come and bring offers to you on your listings, that was awesome. Yeah, I miss them.
Right. I think strategically thinking about an open house on a non-traditional day can be very smart.
I
Yeah.
listed one last summer that we made it active on Friday night at about 6 o'clock. And then we did the open house on Sunday and we had received offers. And it was so weird because I thought, well, there goes my broker's open, but they did that on Monday.
Right.
And I actually sold it from the brokerage open. The realtor came through and sold it. She's
Right.
like, I've been looking for this for my clients. I tried to call them.
Right. But that market is so not here right now. I mean, that's because like there's a property we don't know of. No, everybody knows of every property. And so it's just a different kind of market right this second. This talks about a script, a door knocking script and an exercise. I don't want to do the exercise if you don't have to. It's on my page 10. Would you want to do role play? Right? I don't want to do role play. But I do want to go over the words because I think words are really important, right? The words that we choose to communicate tell us a whole lot. This is a role model for door knocking. Let me see if I can find it in your copy.
Page 6.
Page 6. Yeah. All right, I mean, page 6. All right, so hello. It's like, I don't know who's writing these things, right? So don't stand at the door and go, this is Tom Orr. That doesn't make any sense. I don't know how literal you look at these things, right? And then that line, I'm at your door because. Don't say I'm at your door because. There's a nicer way to say that, right? They know you're at the door, you're standing there. And so especially, I mean, Diana, is this, I assume, is your second language?
Yeah.
Yes, so I think it'd be really important to pay attention to things like this, because this could be misleading. And then I want to address this too, because I find this a lot. I think it's really important that we're honest in all of our sales. So like if you say the Johnsons asked me to invite you here and it's not true, it's likely that they're gonna like tell that to the Johnsons. And so I just think watch things like that. I saw a realtor tell a client, because of COVID, the sellers are requiring that everyone sign in, right? And I'm sure that if the neighbor said, you know, the Johnsons were making people sign in because of COVID, it might get to the Johnsons and that might not make them happy. Right, in their house, you know, and so I just think that it's very important that in our sales, we're honest. In our process, it's very easy. It's easy not to be. That's why used car salesmen get the reputation. So it's important that we are. Why are you laughing, Karen?
Because I always just tell them, I promise my clients, which I always do, I promise the sellers that I get everyone signed.
I think that's great. You did,
Because I always promise my
Right.
sellers that.
right. And we're gonna get to the sign-in sheet and how we get that information, but I think that that's exactly right. I promise the sellers that anybody walking in the house would sign in.
With my luck, I said, the sellers want everyone to sign in, they would run into someone that came into the open house, and they were like, why did you want us to sign in? No, what?
Right, because the seller of the house doesn't particularly, they're not particularly aware of the 50% of your agenda is pulling data for your own future business, right? They think you're there to sell their house and that's it.
So you got time to open house, and you get offered for the open house, and
Why are you having an open house at my
I don't
house?
want to cancel it.
Right.
It's inconvenient for them to have to leave on Sunday.
Right,
I always just tell them, the reason I do it, even if it is under contract, is because that way more people see your kind of business from us.
right. Oh, that's a great, you should write that down.
Your agent, your sellers, clients are like, oh, you need to work with me.
It is possible that a deal can bust.
Not done until you go to closing.
Right. We need to have other people in line. And this guarantees that. That's a very good answer. All right, what's next? Prospect.
I might just go have open houses on all my existing properties now and tell them, we're getting back at us.
Yeah, and that happened to me, my very first open house I did, and the agent, she's no longer selling, she's not working. She had to go to this open house, and I got an offer, I wrote an offer for the house. I wrote an house, and I presented it to her, and she was like, it's already in the contract. It
So,
wasn't marked any MLS, she didn't tell me, I was like, well, why didn't you tell me that before I did everything else? She said, because your job is to build the database, not sell the house. Still, it would have been nice to know, so make sure,
Yeah.
when I do it and the home's under contract, I tell them, this home is currently under contract. However, we chose to still do the open house just in case the deal falls through for some reason.
right, well, you can say we're accepting backups. Right,
If the seller's
Right.
accepting backups.
right, right. All right, so now let's talk about the fun part. The actual day of the event, how do we do the event? Every part of that. How do we dress? When do we arrive? What do we take with us? How do we have that experience? What does that look like for you guys? I'm not gonna go, say again?
That's my most stressful part.
Yeah, I'm not,
The actual open house.
I'm not gonna go into an open house blind. I'm gonna visit the property on Friday or Saturday. And I'm gonna tell the seller, I'm coming to visit the property on Friday or Saturday. And I'm gonna give them enough time,
Even if it's not realistic.
hopefully,
You can schedule a.
yes, to do a walkthrough. I wanna see what I'm getting into. I will not, this is me and everybody's different. I will not request a blanket open house. I will request, hey, Kara, can I host the 616 Berry Street? This, because I will have driven by it. I will have maybe already toured it and know that it's a great property because I'm representing my brand when I throw up an open house. And I don't want an open house that's a stinky cat lady house.
That's what I was getting ready to say.
Right. And I don't, and we all have to sell those kinds of houses, but I don't want that to be my open house. And so I'll that, right? But if it's just a typical house and that, they have kids or there could be some straightening that needs to take place to show the house off well, I'll go by on Friday or Saturday, call the listing agent and request that I can go by and then tell them or leave a note as to what needs to be done to the house. Any thoughts about that? Like what could be done to a house to make the house sell better, show better? Cleaning.
Clean, yeah. That's when they think, well, there's a shower, no one's gonna see that, but then everyone.
Yeah, I'm gonna start with the outside. I'm gonna be like, I need the shrubs, need to be trimmed back. I want, if it's time to have potted flowers and plants, I'm gonna ask them to have them. If it's my own listing in there, I'm gonna buy them and they'll take them, right? I'm gonna have flowers on the front porch. I'm gonna do as much as I can to make the front porch and the entry attractive. That determines how people feel about the house when they cross the threshold. And so the front, I think, is really important. Curb appeal is really important in that case.
If you're holding, sorry.
No,
If you're holding an open house for another agent in the office, and you go and you also ask for listings to be done, I know a lot of times people help, I just talk to the listing agent, and let them know, that would help that listing agent a lot. Because
Tons.
it could be a listing that I've had that I've asked them, asked them, please edge the lawn.
right,
You know, the grass is growing 2 feet over the sidewalk. However, they're like, oh, it's not a big deal, then you come and do it, because you're gonna do an open house there, and you're like, these are the things I noticed, would you please ask them to do this? It just reiterates what I've been saying,
Right.
and then they're more like.
and once again, we're all different, but like if the client is right or the house is right, and I can show up at 9 in the morning on Sunday instead of 2 and do the yard work myself, I will. But everybody is different, right? I mean, if it's a little old lady and I'm repping her product, and she ain't gonna go trim the grass, I'll go do it myself. And so probably not if it's someone else's listing, but if it's my listing, I certainly will.
I'm ready to.
Sure, yeah. And so making sure the front of the house looks great, that the sign is in a great position, right? The open house, that it looks good, that there are no cars in the driveway, right? You don't want cars in the driveway. You want the family gone an hour before the open house, so that you can then fix anything that they think they've already fixed.
If they have a farm garage and there is a storm shelter in the garage, make sure they move that car.
Move the car so you can see the storm shelter, right? But I give myself, I want them out of the house an hour before, so that I can fix everything that they think they've already fixed, which includes cleaning tubs, cleaning toilets, wiping things down. I'll go through what I have in my kit. My open houses are an experience. That's what I want it to be like. I want someone to come to my open house and go, that was really fun. That was a fun experience. So I provide music, I provide food. I'm gonna make it smell good. I'm gonna open it up. I'm gonna lift all the blinds, open all the curtains. It's gonna be sunshine city inside this house. The owners sometimes hate this, but it's what sells the house, right? You have to open the house up. You're there early enough to know, like, what have my problems been? Skunk under the house on a Sunday at 1 o'clock with a 2 o'clock opening.
Yes.
Right, so I had that problem.
What do you do for that? Just FYI, what do you do?
Light candles, open everything, right?
Did it
I
help?
mean, it did help completely. Yeah, it did.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, you just have to do something. I mean, I guess if the skunk was like actively spraying, it smelled like he had sprayed in the morning and I showed up, right?
Yeah.
But I was able to make it not offensive,
Okay.
Cats, right? Dogs, they leave the pets, they're gone. You're like, how do you handle that? Right. I'm trying to think of all the things that I have come in contact with.
Dirty underwear in the bathroom.
Oh, shit.
Dog shit in the house,
In the house.
Well, they leave and they think they're fine, and they left the dog in the house and the dog shit and they're gone, right?
And these are not your listings that you have these problems, right?
Well, I've had problems like that in my own listing. The skunk was my own listing.
Well, like that. Like I always tell people, you have to take your animals for the open house, so. I would
You
think
tell
would
them.
But they don't do it.
No, they'll be like, we put the cats in the back closet. It will be fine. We put a sign up.
That's
Right.
crazy.
Yeah. I guess just kind of the worst experiences are mess and smell, right? And so that's the reason I don't go blind to a house. And
They cook Sunday lunch, and I'll ask them, if you get by with it, could you not cook lunch on Sunday?
you'll go out and eat. Oh, yeah, I had that. I just had that. I don't know where she was from, India, but like curry,
That's the
Curve.
first one, is curve.
And
Yeah.
that will deter people.
Oh my God, it was hard. And,
Asians have set up in their garage to cook because their food stinks so bad.
right,
I went across that block.
right. Doesn't stink. It has a, has a lot of smell, has a lot of smell.
Smells good like cooking, but
Right.
But baking smells good, right? So-
Baking, you can. So like, we know some people like do cookies and they'll do them at the house.
Yes, I do that.
Right? And you ask permission, can I do? And so people show up with that ready-made chocolate chip and a baking tray and cook brownies. I think Donna D does brownies. Whole house smells like brownies, you know?
It's cookies.
Yeah, it's good. It's really,
Your sellers are not, or the other agent sellers, like, wow, they went out their way to really make cookies.
right. So I'm gonna just kind of, this is my open house kit, right? So this, I can grab this and run to an open house and every single thing that I'm gonna need is inside this kit. So I thought I would just kind of go through this so we can look at it. So wipes, like you live by the wipes. I also have a cleaning kit in my car that has sprays and a toilet brush, right? And so I have that kind of stuff. I love music in my open house. So I have these wireless speakers, and I'll just run it to my phone, make certain you take a charger and tons of cable because your phone's gonna run out of battery. And then not only is the music on, but now you can't like do any business while you're there.
what kind of music?
I'm gonna tell you, I play jazz,
That's what I think.
right? And like Summer Breeze is my favorite channel. And it's just easy and it's fun, but it's not distracting. There's no lyrics. And you don't make it so loud people can't talk. You just want it in the background. I do cookies. And so I'll embark this. Now, I don't bake them because that's not going to be in my wheelhouse. But I'll go get 16 big cookies. Usually I get them at that little place on Main Street right downtown, right? They're homemade. Put this out, lay them in a big stack, put them in there, put this in the kitchen, right? In a nice clean kitchen full of cookies. You can, when people come in, you can immediately address them with, hey, there's snacks in the kitchen. If they're kids, there's snacks in the kitchen. I bring napkins. They're gonna have napkins in that space as well. I don't typically do little plates or anything. And so, but I do also know if their kids are gonna drop crumbs and may follow them, you know, that kind of thing. Right in the entrance and right by the cookies, I'm gonna have two displays that are set up. And I'm gonna have my brochure that I made for the house, which is like the flyers that I gave you. So I'm gonna print out probably 30 of those on Friday, at the end of the day at the office, just put them in my briefcase or stick them in here. And then they're gonna be in here and they're just grab and goes, right? About the property. And they have the stats of the house, how much it is, square footage, anything like that. My marketing, I try to come up with something that's cute or clever or catchy on all of my marketing, like anything that's like, I don't know if I gave you the one that's like the Brady house, but like that's what I capitalized on, that it was like the Brady house. And, you know, I played 60s music when we were in the house, you know. And then this will also have my business cards on it, and it's all branded. I will have a basket of booties and masks still, right? Now, I don't make people wear masks now, and I may not even wear a mask. It depends on how crowded it is. But, and if I can keep distance from people, but I'm gonna offer them, and I'm also gonna have a hand pump sanitizer. And so I'll have like a station for people to get things. The booties, I think, are great for the right house, right? If they have brand new carpet, or if it's a really expensive house, and people do not mind if you ask them to put on booties, because that means they know it's a really nice house, right? So they don't have a problem with that.
How do you sell those when the weather's bad?
Yeah. Yeah. I take two different kinds of tape. I take electrical tape and I take boxing tape. Boxing tape is for the signs. There can be problems with the signage. I might need to post a sign somewhere. And now I can't even remember why I have the electrical tape, but it's in there for a reason. If I have it, it means that, yeah, I use it. A cup of pins. and some scissors, tons of business cards, right? The pins are gonna walk away. People are gonna use them, take them and walk away with them. I guess the most important thing I'm gonna have are these, which are clipboards, and they're gonna have my sheet on it. And I'm gonna have this right in the front. Now, I don't like to stage it so they have to get by me to get inside. I'd rather them feel like I'm welcoming them to the house instead of like letting them in the house. And so I'll probably stage myself back a little bit, not right at the front door. But so when they come through the front door, they will see me, right? I'll be seated there probably. And depends on how busy it is. And when I get their eyes, I introduce myself, right? First thing I do is capture their eyes, and then I introduce myself. And you always stand up when you're meeting someone. So you stand up. Today we don't shake hands right now, and probably don't need to fist bump at an open house. But simply introducing yourself. I'm a listing agent, or I'm hosting the open house, and have a very quick spiel kind of about who you are, very quick. I'm talking 15 seconds, right? And then immediately into the house. These are the details of the house. And I promised my sellers that I would have everybody who comes in the house fill out this survey, right? And I use the word survey on purpose. This is a survey. Y'all got this? Did I give this to you? I make the body of my survey about the house. And I also make it very clear that I am not going to sell this information, give this information away. That the only reason you would be contacted is because of your real estate needs. And the most important part of it, in their eyes, is that they give me their opinion of the property. So I made it really simple to fill out for them. They don't have to write anything, they can just circle. I put location up there. That may seem self-evident because you're standing in the house, but when I come back after 3 open houses on one weekend, and I'm going through all of these forms, I'll go, oh, I forgot what house this was on, right? Because you can get 20 or 30 of these back, and if you're doing more than one property weekend, they can get confusing. So I put location on. Then the name, cell phone, address, that's the information you're getting for your data bank. They don't know that at that moment. Some people do, and you're going to get like answers like Daffy Duck and not a real phone number, and that's they know what we're doing. But hopefully, I mean, more often than not, when I engage people in good conversation, earnest conversation, before I give them this and say, do this, right? The better the information is. What are you laughing at, Diane? Is Cinca texting you?
No, me and my husband are trying to.
I'm not.
figure out. And I say to him, like, it's some Californian who walks in front of us and offers cash, and I don't like him at all. He's terrible. And my husband thinks I'm serious. It's actual person who walks in front of buys all the house. We're trying to buy it.
Got it. I know.
I'm sorry.
Well, that person exists right now. Then, you know, are you new to, are you actually in the market for a new home? It's a really fast question. I asked that on the introduction, right when they walk in. Hi, I'm Tom. I'm hosting this. Mr. Martin Keller Williams. Welcome to the house. You actually in the market for a purchase? Because a lot of them are going to be neighborhood looky-loos, right? Who just want to come in and see what's going on and how much things cost. So just asking them that right out front, right, works. I also like to try to ask some of the difficult questions verbally, face to face, because then it's easier for them to write it. So like I can ask them if they're currently working with an agent. I'll ask them that to their face, and they're more likely to go, yeah, I'm working with Pal Davis. And then instead of when they look here, they have to write it, and it's the first time they've addressed that. So I find that you know, putting it out there verbally makes it easier.
If they don't answer you, do you ask them to?
If they don't answer on the survey, when they
No, I
hand,
meant, like say, are you currently working with another realtor, and they say yes, but they don't give you a name, do you ask them that point?
yeah, oh yeah, and it's just real light. You currently working with another realtor? Yeah, who?
Yeah.
Right? It's probably a friend of mine, right? And then of course we have, everyone knows that's an opportunity to compliment that agent. And, you know, they're wonderful, they're great, you're lucky to be working with them. That's the end. You just branded yourself a nice guy, right? That's the one thing that you can do in that moment. You know,
I've had, I'd say, close to half the time, they say, yeah, I'm working with an agent, but you continue the conversation and kind of loosen them up, and then they say, well, I don't really have an agent. but I just-"
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's always a cousin.
Yep.
Literally, downward with it, you find out it's a cousin they haven't talked to in 3 years, but they think they're a realtor.
They were just afraid you're gonna hound them.
Right.
Nope.
Right. And then I asked them for their opinion on the house, and I engage them in this. Typically, I'll say, you know, I'll give them the clipboard, and I have a clipboard, and I'll take 6 clipboards, right? And it will be, take this, walk around the house, please fill this out, take your time, before you leave, just bring it back by. The reason I give them the clipboard, and I know why? If I just give them this, they have no obligation to come back at all to me, right? They'll fold this up, put it in the pocket and leave. But if I give them the clipboard, they have to bring it back. And so I get them all back. And I get to check them when they hand me the clipboard. I've actually had people like turn them upside down and hand them to me, and I'm like, hey, you missed something, right? So that worked very well for me. I think the information will remain private, contact will be relevant solely on your real estate needs. That became important to me, so I put that in. And I did a lot of information for this. What else do I have? Mask, I take a tape measure. I take sticky glue. I take 3 extension cords and, you know, a ton of adapters to plug in, right? This is because someone's going to ask how big the bedroom is. And so you're gonna wanna have that with you, and then a cleaning kit. And that's what goes with me to every open house, and I walk in an hour early so that I can control what that environment looks like.
What about like candles with some small?
I do candles. I don't have them in here, but I take candles to everyone, you know.
What kind of smells do you try to stick with?
You know, I don't know that I have, I don't like heavy, musky, spicy smells. I like, and I also don't like, I like Christmas. I would make everything smell like Christmas. Everything smell like evergreen. Right.
I have a client, I had several clients in the last few years that every time we go into a home they would comment on one fragrance. It was like a strawberry shortcake or something from Bath and Body Works. And so I bought that, and that's what I did.
Thank you.
A lot of people used to say vanilla, but a lot of people don't like vanilla.
Right,
So
right. I just want it to smell fresh.
it smells happy.
Right. All right, where are we? So let's talk about behavior inside with our clients, right, that we're now hosting. How do we behave? How are we dressed? How are we interacting? What's that look like for you guys? Where are you, first off? Door opens up at 2 o'clock, right? Is the door closed? Is the door open?
Depends on the window. I was gonna say, depends on if they have a glass door.
Right, right. If it's a glass door, you have a glass door, open the inside door, always, right? You could put a little sign on the front that says, come on in.
The glass door is open and another one is also.
Well, no, if it's a glass door, leave it closed, right?
Yeah, but if there's no glass door, door closed. But yeah.
Unless it's a 78-degree day and you can open everything up, right? But I think that like putting a little thing on the door says, come on in. I mean, not janky looking, it's gotta be a nice little sign, you know?
I have one that says like, welcome to my open, or welcome to our open house. I don't remember exactly what it says, but it says something like, come on in, take a look, fall in love. Or it says, come on in and take a look, walk around, take a look. And then it says, if you fall in love, let me know, we'll write an offer.
It's wonderful,
So,
right?
yeah.
You print that up, put it in a little frame so it can hang on a door. I think that's a marvelous thing. If you can make the house comfortable and welcoming, right? I will almost always buy a new welcome mat for my houses, for my listings. That's the reason I let that blue striped welcome mat on my things. I started putting it on my flyers Because I want you to show up to the house and go, I recognize that blue welcome mat, right? And everyone is welcome, you know, in my open house.
I say welcome home.
Welcome home, right?
I do that even when I'm showing a house.
Yeah.
If I got a client, they will go see Kara's house.
Yep.
I open the door and say, welcome.
Welcome home, right? All right, where are you when the house opens, and where are you trying to station yourself throughout the open house? Karen,
Usually
you
I like
around,
to
you
stand. Mhm.
wait, say again, Cinca?
Oh, sorry, I didn't know if somebody else was talking, but I like to stand, for example, maybe kitchen area to see the front door if I can. But if not,
Yeah.
at least I'm close to the back door. But trying to
Okay.
be in the area where I can see at least the front door, but not
Good.
immediately in front of it.
Any other thoughts?
I've heard. Other people say that it's nice to sort
Sit out on the front porch? Yeah, I don't think I've ever done that either. I've sat in the front foyer. I do think it's important to take a chair if there's no furniture, because there's gonna be some dead time. And you don't want to be hovering around people. So those fold-up chairs, you know, the sports chairs, have one in the back of your car, always.
Keep 4 of those in my trunk, because many times you go to a vacant home for inspections. That way my ordinance-
You keep 4?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep one.
Yeah, that's smart.
Four.
What about clothes, and how do we look? I know it's stupid, but I think we should look professional, right? And whatever professional is for you, right? I mean, if I'm not gonna wear a suit and a tie, that ain't gonna happen for me. This is professional. Me, I throw on a blazer over this, and that is my professional look. That's me cleaned up.
Yeah, my professional jeans with a cute shirt and a blazer.
Right. I think branding is important in that environment, and branding can be your name tag, or branding can be something you have on your shirt or your vest or whatever you're wearing. But I do think it's important that you have something that on your body that distinguishes you as the agent that is hosting the house all the time.
Wear your name tag.
Wear your name tag, right? You're gonna get to where you actually develop an image that goes with, I mean, you have your image, are you kidding me? Right? I mean, you know, tell me about the cultivation of your image.
Like what?
Well, color,
Color, mustard hue's red. Even my car was red.
yep. So you have an identifiable kind of image.
They always say, your color's red. They think that's my favorite color, and it's not.
It's just your branding
It's
color.
just my branding and it's people's eyes. And the reason I did that is when I started 17 years ago and I would work off time.
Yeah.
They would call in and you always ask, what made you call our office? Because that way you know who to get that call to. Well, they'd go, oh, I just called because I see your red signs everywhere. And so after hearing that about 20 times, it's like, okay, I'm doing all my branding with red.
Yep.
And I don't steer away from the pretty much the same KW Mullenix sign. I have that, but I've added my picture to it. But it's still, I want it to be easily identifiable because people will look for Keller Williams because they see Keller Williams everywhere.
Yep. Yeah. So you're actually going to develop your style that goes with you, you know, and that'll happen.
I mean, I even for 2 years had red glasses.
Yep.
And everybody's like, oh, red car, red signs, red glasses, you know.
Right. I mean, there's her, she's walking by. What is Kristen's style? Black. She always wears black, right? Yeah. And so it's just interacting with the individuals as they come in. They talk about the Ford method, talking about family, occupation, recreation, and dreams, right? I think that's a good way to strike up conversation. The part that I don't ever think about, that I think is the reason I thought if I miss it, y'all should make me talk about it, is safety, right? Because see, I don't think about that.
I mean, like, if people come to the house with furniture where, like, sales still leaves, isn't it the chance that somebody will try to steal something?
Yes.
And it's so many people, and you can go to somebody. and
Yes.
that person could be another.
All that exists. So you're gonna want to tell your clients to secure any valuables, right? That's got to be part of your dialogue with them, to secure any valuables. Say again?
Prescription medications.
Prescription medications, right? Lock them up, put them away, you know?
Does anyone?
Oh, Lord, have mercy. Yeah,
Calendars, appointments, get all that on,
get it all put up,
pictures of small children.
right?
That's how we put those up.
This
Right.
is, I know it's like safety, but because you said calendars with appointments, I showed a house once. And in the kitchen, there was a whiteboard calendar and right in the middle on like a Wednesday afternoon. And like with stars all around it, it said new boobs. Best thing I've ever seen.
That's why they're having to sell the house. That's why they have to sell the house to afford the new boobs. Yeah, I think that you want to have a conversation with your clients about what they can leave out for their own safety, like that. And so
Even
you,
your own safety though.
but that's where I go.
You want
Right.
to make sure that you always position yourself, like even when you're showing homes, position your home between the doors so that way if you need to exit the trailer back that you can. And there's lots of times that I will call and I'll have another agent come with me and we're giving us with me because maybe it's more of a rural area or something and I don't want to be. I had a time where I really felt like when I was showing the property and I felt I just got this sick feeling in my gut. And so when they came in the house at night, I'd never done it before. I ended up calling our office, told them where I was at, and they were like, stand up on the front porch, don't walk them home with them. And I was the risk that we took with the sellers, you know, their stuff, but it just, if you get that feeling in the pit of your stomach, you know, follow that. And it ended up where they ended up calling the police, they chased them and they got arrested for drugs in their vehicles, no telling what it was, but it was scary. I stood up just till I couldn't go in with them, I had to take this call.
It's one of those things. I remember the very first real estate seminar I went to in Tulsa. They had a speaker, and the speaker's mom had been murdered. She was a real estate agent and had been basically kidnapped at a showing, and they killed her. And this was this, 23-year-old guy talking about it. It was part of his therapy, and he had turned it into a business.
Rusty Molnix, his mother, when they owned the Williams here, they were with Century 21 in the city. And Wanda had an agent that was shot and killed.
Yeah. So we know it does happen. I don't think you want to live your life in fear,
No.
but you need to be aware,
I've always
Yeah.
carried pepper spray
right?
to show
That was
them
gonna
that I
be my
don't
question.
I
know,
did too,
or-
and Megan, went to Megan camp, and they took it from, I couldn't take it.
I-
was like,
And but
First,
every
what's
other
your
house,
question?
Protection, you carry protection. I mean, like,
I think I don't need that. But if you were to, and I certainly support people who do want to carry, you need to conceal it because you don't want that to be part of the discussion. You don't need that to be seen by anyone, children, anything. And so I think if you do carry, make certain that it's not visible. I think the safest thing to do is know you're out and don't ever turn your back. Right? And so as long, and I don't want you to be scared, right? I don't want you to be scared.
You have to be conscious about it, because I don't even think about stuff like that.
Right,
You
Right.
know
I
when
learned that a
you're
long
with
time
people that you
ago.
don't know.
Me and my wife, I always sit facing the door.
Yeah.
That's just something I always do.
right.
And I'm always where I'm always looking around, all right, how am I getting out of here?
Right.
If something comes up, and because it's not, it's
I,
just good for people.
just last week, I sat down with 3 people and they were like, you can sit here. I was like, yeah, I'll take the Bill Hickok seat. Because he had his back to the door.
If you are doing it over the house, I'm sorry, here, these are FaceTime me again. If you do an open house and someone comes in and you are questioning them, you put in your mind. My daughter, when she worked with me as an agent, she was doing an open house at one of my listings in Oklahoma City, and the master bedroom was in the way back far part of the house. Well, a second person had come in, and so she couldn't go with that gentleman back there. And that this couple, though, they came through, and still wasn't, they left. And that gentleman was still back in the master bedroom, and she could hear him opening and closing all of the drawers. Well, we had already told my clients, I've always told them, well, this property, hide all of your prescription medications, any jewelry, anything, they send me an answer. So, there was not anything for them to take, but she could hear them, and as they would open and close doors, it would get louder and louder, and finally this man goes, hey, can you come back here for a minute? And then my daughter goes, thought real quickly, because we've done training, you know, I always told her, always stay by the front door, or stay by the back door, you have to open for the front door, because you want to make sure you can get out the back, you know, sometimes the gates are locked. So she just got that feeling, and she was like, I'm scared. So she went up to her and she's like, I'm sorry, I can't come back there. I'm required to stay at the front to watch other people come in. Well, you can't come back here just for a minute? No, I can't. And so she called me real quick and she's like, there's someone here, and she's trying to tell me, and she's whispering. I said, go to the front porch, stay in the front porch. Eventually they'll leave. If not, we'll call the police. I'm headed that way. Well, I got up heading that way, and he even had left and told her, he said, how late are you open? Well, the sign says 2 to 4, you know, and she's like, till 4, and he goes, okay, well, my buddy and I are gonna come back and look at the house again. And so when she called and told me that, I was like, no, lock up and go. And I called the clients, and I'm like, yes, she did right. You know, so don't hesitate if you ever get in that situation. Close that to me.
If this, I think there are two things here. If the house has possessions in it, ultimately you're responsible. And so I would cover your butt by having another body there that can walk around. It's a great time to recruit somebody who needs to shadow.
Especially in this market where there's more people coming to the houses.
You know, and just go, I'm gonna hold the front door, I'm gonna be the host. I just want you to walk around satellite, welcome people, ask them if they need anything, but don't stop, move.
I took my wife with me on one, and we did the opposite. She was at the door.
Yeah,
She's the one that said, hey, Curtis is busy with another potential buyer.
sure.
Can you sign in on the sign-in sheet real
Yeah.
quick? And as soon as he's free, I'll have him.
Right.
That's the way we work.
Right. I think that, you know, if it's got stuff in it, you can't see all of it, I think that's kind of a no-brainer. If it's empty, or you can manage the whole space, even if there are places where you can't be 2 places away, the bedroom's far away, have another person, you know?
Jonathan had a house. Jonathan and Matt had that big mansion, 5,000 some odd square feet.
Right. You can't do that by yourself.
Me and one other agent did that, but I could be all the way at this end of the house.
Couldn't even hear you.
What's going on there.
Right. Couldn't even hear you.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that, you know, as long as there are belongings in the house, you need to kind of protect yourself by recruiting a team to be with you in that environment. Know you're out. Always know you're out. Like, don't not know that the gates are open. Right? Because if you don't know if the gates are open, that's not your out. Right? You have to know all the way. That's the reason you're getting there an hour ahead. You're gonna walk around, you're gonna have the back door open, you're gonna have everything so you can get in and out of the business, in and out of that house as fast as you need to, you know? I don't have a problem with these things. Y'all probably don't have, I don't have that same awareness but I don't turn my back on people, right? I mean, if I'm walking through the house, I'm gonna let them lead. I'm gonna walk behind them, you know, and guide them that way. And so, but that's just kind of the nature of the way I work with everybody all the time. Any other comments about that? Safety? Anybody have any other thoughts? You know, I don't think it's, if you were a person, and I'm trying not to be sexist here, but if you're a person and you might feel more vulnerable, tell somebody where you are and what your time frame is and where you're going to be, and even tell them in the you know, if you have a 2-hour open house, I'll call you in the middle, check in with you, see how things are going, so that they know.
I always have
member that knows always, because that was, my husband, he works on Sundays. If I'm doing a Sunday open house, he can't do the post office and help me.
Right.
So my brother-in-law one, they'll,
Do you guys all have 360 on your phone?
yes.
Every realtor needs to have 360 app on their phone. 360 is a GPS that tracks you.
Like-
So if you can't be worried about the government following you because the government's following you. It's guaranteed. But
The locations are not as accurate as they were, like, in the past couple of months, they've not been awesome. Like, my daughter and I have it for each other.
okay, they'll either fix it or a competitor will take over their business.
Yeah.
But I think it's important because you could be abducted, and as long as you have your phone on in your pocket, somebody knows where you are. You know, and so I think that that's smart.
First thing you do when you abduct somebody, you take the phone.
Say again?
It's the first thing you do when you abduct somebody, take the phone.
Yeah, but you know, they're not as smart as you are.
Pure practice.
Right.
I was a bounty hunter for years. So that's-
Really?
There's
Yes.
stuff off of me.
I want to hear some of the stories.
Oh.
Do you have any other thoughts about safety, personal safety in the house?
iPhones, I don't know about Androids, but if you hit the, I think the power button 3 times.
Yep.
It automatically sends like an SOS and calls the police and everything.
Yep.
You don't have to.
Punch it 3 times.
If I do it right now, can I cancel it?
Yeah.
You can cancel it, but it
I
like
think
makes a noise and stuff.
Yeah, it'll make the noise, and you have to press the button, I think, for it to actually go through.
no, do it 5 times.
Because mine, I've done it accidentally before.
Mine does it. There it is.
Yeah.
How did you do it?
So, you just keep pressing that side button over here, and it'll come
It's
up.
5 times. though?
I don't know.
I did it more than 3.
Now you thought.
Just do it as fast as you can. Okay. I don't
Is
think-
it an iPhone?
Mine's iPhone.
We'll have to
But
figure that
it
out.
did that, and it does a countdown, and if you don't turn it off, then it automatically calls
Oh, here, see if you can do that.
Yeah.
my voice.
See if you can do that. Oh, you know what? I don't even have a sound on for this.
Mine don't either. Mine's on vibrate at all times.
So there is, I'm not gonna go over the command stuff. I pulled it up. How many people are getting comfortable with command? A little bit?
Ish.
If you go into your command page and you go down to consumer on your command page, and then go to landing pages, you can create a landing page. It takes all of 30 seconds to create a landing page and put in the data and the widgets to use for an open house. Literally, you can just create a landing page. It gives you a URL address, and you can attach that to every single thing you're using to market, and it will go to that landing page and they can fill in information. Right? And so it's simply going to landing pages, create a new landing page, do it as a landing page.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Yes. You're gonna go to consumer on the command page, then you're gonna go to landing pages, then create a landing page. It's gonna give you a big blank sheet, and on the right, it has all these widgets, agent branding, lead forms. You just grab the widget and bring it into the landing page and it creates it. And I'm a moron, so if I can figure this out, it's so easy.
Got it.
Yeah.
On my site, there's one page.
And so, and then all you have to do is publish it. You can save it or hit publish it, and it'll give you a URL and you can use that. Yes.
So when I say create a new page, it comes up on my agent site or as a.
Do it as a landing page.
Landing page.
Uh-huh. And then you see all the widgets over on the right. You can grab, all you really need is the agent branding and lead form. And you bring those in there, it places them. Then when you publish it, don't publish it right now. But when you publish it, you'll get a URL, and you can use that URL for anyone to go to that landing page. And then you can capture their information that way.
So I don't need to put anything else in there, just those 2 things.
That's literally it.
I've
And-
never done that.
And then anyone can go, you can just go to this address and they will be able to provide their information. I'm old school and it's all gonna be on paper for me. Well,
Some vendors subscribe to a thing called this. Tell me to go to open house, they'll print it all out for you.
Yeah, they will.
So the last thing we do is what do we do with information? So we've held our open house, we've talked to everybody, we've been charming. Let me talk just a little bit about why I think some of the open houses are better than others. Atmosphere. The atmosphere of the house, right? And so that's the smell, that's the cleanliness, that's the openness, the brightness. And also how you are interacting with them as a host. And not everyone is an extrovert, right? I'm Jonathan, I don't think you're an extrovert. I'm actually not an extrovert. Everybody thinks I'm an extrovert. I'm not. I'm an introvert who has learned how to act like an extrovert. And so I think that's what everyone has to like nurture, because the host has to be an extrovert. You have to figure out the role, right? Because they are literally in your hands. They are your guests in this space. The more control you have with them, the better the atmosphere is going to be, right? Now, you don't want to push them around and you don't want to be a pain in their butt, but it's about making them comfortable, right? So if you'll just operate from that point of view, is everything I'm doing making you comfortable? Are you getting the information you need? Do you feel like you are safe, right? And so if you'll just think that way, I think you'll probably get along great. If you find yourself seated in a chair with a bunch of people walking around, you're not doing your job, right? And so that's hard. That little forward thing, everybody got that? There's literally a list of things to talk about, right? Family, occupation, recreation, dreams. So you can ask them, where do you guys live? Talk about the family, where, right? And just kind of drinks. What do you want to drink? Oh, that actually brings me to a really good thing to talk about. Alcohol at an open house. Is this a good idea? Does it happen? Have you ever seen it?
I've always had it in broker.
Yeah.
Never at open house.
It is, in my world, if the house is over $500,000 or $600,000 and it's an afternoon open house, it's expected. Yeah. The clientele that's going to buy that house expects it. They expect champagne or mimosas or something.
I expect to be catered.
Right.
Wait, only if buyer wants to buy or for everybody?
Only if buyer wants to buy.
No, I mean, like at the open house.
At the open house.
For everybody.
Yeah, now you're gonna have a very different clientele, right? We're talking about a $700,000 home is gonna have a very different clientele than a $200,000 home. And there's gonna be fewer people, right? There are fewer people in that market. So when you show up, they're gonna expect a different kind of hosting. Now, I would say now it's very dangerous to provide alcohol to anybody at any price point if you are responsible. So you can hire a bartender. It's a piece of cake, right? Doesn't even cost a lot of money. Call a restaurant like Benvenuti's, say, hey, do you have a number of one of your bartenders who might be willing to do 2 hours for me at an open house? They will charge you $100. That's it. You still have to buy whatever the booze is, might even be cheaper. But since they're a licensed bartender, they now carry the liability and not you, right? And so, and you know, 99.9% of the time, that's not going to be a problem. But that 1.001% you don't want. And so I think having somebody there who can serve mimosas, I think, you know, it's not a drunk fest. It's not a frat party. But I think that to be able to provide them with a simple cocktail or drink, it doesn't even really have to have alcohol in it. If you served it the right way and you told them this is, and it's non-alcoholic champagne and orange juice, they think they're high on the hog, right? The snacks are going to be different too for a $700,000 house, right? And it's not going to be chocolate chip cookies and brownies. It's going to be a charcuterie tray, and it's going to be a flower arrangement. and you're gonna dress the house so that you're hosting for that clientele, right? So that's just a difference. But I do think if you're going to do alcohol, have somebody there who's licensed who can serve it for you. Any other thoughts on that? Then we're done. What do we do with the information? How do we manage that information? What happens next? This is to cultivate. Any thoughts on that?
Everybody. And
When?
one thing I do is during open house, I usually tell them I have like a $25 card or something like that. It's sitting there and we'll tell them everybody registers, we're gonna call somebody when open house is over. Just a giveaway.
Right, so that could actually be on your form, right? So you could have a tear off on the bottom of your form so that it has their name, their email, right? Everything that you basically need, but it's for the drawing. And you write that on the form, right? This is for a drawing for a $25 Starbucks card. I don't know any of the like realtor superstars that would not take a lead for $25. You know, and so you get those and you do a drawing. I think there are all kinds of entertainment. I mean, if I were doing a $700,000 house, I would probably hire a jazz combo. I wouldn't play music on a thing. I'm probably going to hire 3 musicians from the OU School of Music for $50 a piece to come play, right? I'm gonna hire one of the Shakespeare professors. We do there's a Greco-Roman house in my neighborhood that I want to sell, not my neighborhood, Southridge, that I want to sell, right? In my ideal world, before James Yock died, he was the Shakespeare professor at OU. I'd have hired James to come in and do a speech on Julius Caesar and teach Caesar at a Greco-Roman house garden.
We are in different worlds, Tom.
Yeah. Right? But it doesn't have to be that, right? That's my world, but why couldn't you hire somebody, a country and western, musician, and have them come sit on the front porch?
Next time you have an open house, I just want to come hang out.
Right?
Right. Start watching Tom's Facebook.
I think that making them events is important. And once again, I'm not doing this at $180,000 listings, right? At $180,000 listings, I'm doing for just me, and it's fun and cookies.
Right.
But we all want to be doing top dollar listings, and so you have to sell them a certain way, right? I will also at a listing that's like 300,000 or 400,000 and above, I will film the open house. I will walk around with my camera at the busiest time, and I will shoot people interacting with this house to build a 30-second spot that I'm going to put on Facebook to use. I do not ask their permission. I do not get waivers. I'm not worried about that. I probably won't do straight on shots or interview them. I'll pick shots where they may be not completely recognized so that people aren't bothered by that. But the idea is, look at this open house and how much fun it was. If I have musicians, I'll shoot them. If I have a cook, I'll shoot them, right? Or a bartender. And so that you're hosting people and then you're showing you're hosting people. Why do I put that 30-second spot together about an open house?
Get attention for the next.
It is the best listing tool I have. This is how we do open houses, right? And you all have a studio in your pocket now, so there's no excuse for not using social media like it's just your beast. It's really easy. If you don't know how to edit material off of your phone, it takes 4 hours to become Francis Ford Coppola.
Ask me about that.
It's called iMovie. It is on your Mac, it's on your iMac, and you can get it on your phone.
Hear that, Seneca? You need to get an iPhone.
Never.
And in iMovie, you can become Francis. Everybody knows who Francis Ford Coppola is? Okay. Oh, that's too bad. 3-time Academy Award winning director of The Godfather. Everybody's watched The Godfather. the movie The Godfather? Oh my God. Okay, we're gonna have to do a movie night. All right, you can become the greatest director of your dreams. With 4 hours of tutorial, not even, go on YouTube, find a tutorial for iMovie, and it will teach you how to make a 30-second film. You can put music to it and score it, and like, I didn't know anything. 2 years ago, I didn't know how to mail a letter. I'm not lying. I didn't. It's totally true. I had 2 personal assistants for 30 years. I never learned, I didn't know how to do anything. And so, because that was the nature of my job. And all I had to do was be able to know what I knew, right? To teach what I needed to do in my art form. And that was it, and raise money and recruit. But as far as like functioning and doing real work, I had people who did that. And so I've learned how to do all this. It's not hard, right? So gathering the information, I find in my system that I want to come back to the office right after the open house. So I'm bringing my kit back. I am locking the house up. I am sweeping through the house to make certain everything's okay. I will typically, if it's my listing, call the clients and say, come on back, and I'll be there to welcome them to the house so that we're kind of passing off and checking in. They can make certain everything's okay before I leave. And then coming back to the office, it's a great way to get rid of the bakeries and the cookie stuff, right? You just give them to the family. Or if you can't, bring them to the office because they'll be eaten by Monday, you know? And you can always tell if I've had an open house because there will be huge chocolate chip cookies in the kitchen, right? That are left over. And then I immediately will sit down here. You could do it at home, but I'll do my data entry right afterwards. Because in Command, it has a ton of place for notes. And that's when my brain is working. And that's when I remember exactly what they talked about. People are freaked out when you talk to them and you write notes. They don't like that. So keep a place where you can talk to somebody, and then when you leave them, 3 kids, right? And create some notes, and then go back to Command. Right. And
After they leave the open house.
use it, jot all over it.
Yeah.
And then come back and put them in your database or your customer resource management.
One thing I use, I can't remember shit. I have a little tape recorder. I just record all conversations.
Everybody who has a phone has a tape recorder.
Even if I'm in my truck driving around, talking to people, I have a thing recording. So I can't make notes while driving.
Right.
And that evening, I'll sit down and make some clients or if I'm meeting with somebody in person, I'm just recording everything that's said.
Yep.
So I don't have to stop my notes, but then when I talk to them again later, they're kind of impressed I remember stuff and I was thinking, no.
So we've come back and we've entered all of our information into Command and put our little clues in our stories that tell us who they are. What do we do from that point?
Send them a thank you note for something.
What kind of thank you note?
Handwritten.
Handwritten. The irony, I remember having this discussion with so many people in the last 10 years when social media and marketing was like, everything is digital, Tom, everything is digital. Well, because everything became digital, that became the easiest way, right? And the easiest way is hardly ever the best way, right? And so handwritten notes are by far the best form of communication. We still get a little junk mail. Everybody gets a little junk mail, but not like 10 years ago, because now marketing firms don't do that anymore. They send it to you digitally and you just hit delete. But we all get a little junk mail, but how often do you get a handwritten letter in your mailbox? Not often enough. And every time you get one, you're like, oh my God, somebody really wrote me, right? And so I think the handwritten thank you card.
You gotta learn to write it in print though, or they're not teaching cursive.
You need to have nice handwriting, or you need to hire somebody who can do it. They don't teach cursive in public school anymore. Yeah. Yeah, don't get me started.
So now when people sign their name, teachers can print it.
Make your mark, make your mark. Right. Actually, I told you this just yesterday, that there are now robots. There are robots, there are companies where you can hire a robot to write your handwriting. You can pick your handwriting, your font, and it won't be perfect like on your Mac where it's perfect. It'll be imperfect. It will be human, but it's a robot writing it, not you. Very interesting. I don't know.
That's why they got that, I'm on the robot.
Yeah. Right. So then putting them on drips, putting them on campaigns, communicating to them, breaking them down by tags in command, and then you start the process of communication. You know, I think anybody who walks into the open house and like one of my struggles in the first year was what's a lead? What is a lead? What's prospecting? What's an opportunity? What are the differences between these things, right? And so I finally made up my own rules. A lead is someone who tells you that they're going to buy, sell, or invest, and they put a timeline on that activity. That's a lead. Everybody else is a resource. You're not throwing them away because they may decide to do that one day. And so you have to stay in communication with those people. But all the other people are not leads, they're resources in your data bank. But if you have a conversation at an open house where someone says, yeah, we're in the market, or we're going to sell our house, or we're looking, and you immediately ask, what's your timeline on that? And they put a timeline on it, they now move into the most valuable resource you have. Right? And so those are the people that you put in as leads. They immediately go as opportunities into your command, and you start communicating with these people regularly. It's like you found your fishing hole, right? And you start working these people, communicating with them and getting them. You're working for two things. You're working for a buyer broker agreement, or you're working for a listing agreement at that time. That's it. We have 10 minutes. What else do we want to talk about?
One thing I used to do when I had like signing books and stuff, nobody wanted to be the first one to sign. So I'd always fill out a few.
Fake three
or
names.
things, Just fill out a few, write them down, and people think, oh.
Put them in a basket. Always fake three names. You know, if it's on one big sign up. People don't like the one big sign up anymore because then while people are writing on it, they can see other people's numbers.
I quit doing that because I was building an open house probably 2-3 years ago. And a couple came through, they completed their information, and this, like 2 couples later, girl's filling it out, and she's like, oh, so-and-so came by. I was like, you know them? And she's like, yeah, I work with her.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
I
So
immediately called her when
Yeah.
that friend left. I immediately called you first, and I was like, I just let you know in case, you know, we didn't want people to know you're not moving. But
right.
she saw
So the
it.
individual sheets, I think, work really well that
Yes.
way.
I would have said, oh, she's probably gonna buy, you better hurry up.
Be careful about pools, outdoor things, watch children. Right? I've seen people have open houses and let their kids run wild.
I've seen people use bathrooms and not flush toilets.
Oh.
Yeah, so I think that you have to walk around or pee on the lid, or I think that you have to walk around.
So that you're doing a vacant open house, make sure the water is on, and if not, close the commodes, put those in there, and not to use it, because I had to go buy gallons of water one time to be able to flush the toilet after someone was out of the potty.
Right.
They just do it fast.
Yes.
Someone told a story, and I can't remember who it was, but somebody like took a dump in a toilet
Yeah.
and they couldn't flush it.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my
When
lord.
I've shown a house before, just on a regular showing, and gone in, and somebody used the bathroom, so I called the agent right away, said, hey, my people didn't do this, this was already here, just letting you know, I'm not cleaning it up. Had that happen.
Aaron over at MVP, one of his guys had that happen. He was one of those dire emergencies, ran into the bathroom.
And the water was off.
And just the water was off.
And these are.
I had to leave my open house, lock everything up, leave my open house, go get water, find me out the water, and go back and flush the toilet. No
Everybody know how to fix that problem? You know how to fix that problem, there's problem? right? Lift the back lid, go get a couple of gallons of water, pour water in the back of the tank until it builds up a bit, then you can flush it once.
Yep.
And it will go away.
We live in the country, everything's.
Right. Yeah, but if the water's turned off, you need to know that when you open the
Yeah,
house.
for quite some time, I kept gallons of water in my trunk.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, I think it's nice to have drinking water in an open house. I'll bring bottles of drinking water,
I do that.
you know? But children have become like the thing that bother me the most at open houses. Because I don't like them touching everything and running around, and I stage my houses. And so,
I try to entertain the children because that way I know what the kids are doing.
right. I have thought, I'd be like, hey, there are cookies in the kitchen. If you grab a cookie, go out on the back porch and like give them the, the location of where you're okay to be, and eat a cookie. I've never engaged parents with disruptive children, but I think simply because I didn't want to anger or alienate the client.
I've been a children's pastor for over 20 years, so I'm kind of. I can take care of most of the kids,
Yeah.
thankfully.
It's nice too, you got a house, playground in the backyard.
Take toilet paper with you everywhere you go.
Yes.
Roll of toilet paper should be in your car all the time.
If you look in my trunk right now, I have toilet paper, tape measure, screwdriver.
Yeah.
Gloves, booties.
Yeah. I new agents have to put together their kit that just lives in their trunk. Say again?
Flashlight.
Flashlight. Oh, definitely
Even though
flashlight.
you have one on your phone, it's not gonna be bright enough if you go over there like you do.
I didn't pull up something that I have a blade that I keep in here. It's not for self-defense, but it could be, right? But I keep a razor in here.
They're okay, they don't hire.
Pretty much.
That can help you with the kids.
The duct tape. All right. Any other questions? Anything? It's pretty good. I wish we could get some open houses.
Yeah, did a great job.
Thank you.
I
very
did,
much.
yeah,
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Saturday,
Yes.
and they were like, oh, we've come up with an issue on the house they're buying, so hold off.
Ah, dad nabbit.
I was super excited to get
Yeah,
2 open houses on 2 weeks in a row.
I know. It's such good fishing when it's good fishing.
Yeah.
All right.
You have good ideas and open
Yeah, this is-
Thank you, guys. Good job. Thank you, Sanka.
Thank you, Tom.
Well, everybody's in here. Couple of contracts for a Kingsgate survey.
Oh, goodness.
I was like, you would probably have it at all of this.
The Penn State, which nobody ever does.
I know.
Priorities survey, I think.
Did she? Courtney Pack has done one before, if she's in the office.
That was my friend's, like, 4 emojis based on the.
Are you serious?
No, he figured out how to do it, and then he's also figured out on his own how to get me from the iPad to the TV.
Oh, wow.
Hi, TT, I FaceTime me from mommy's pad, and then she'll go, you're on my TV. And I just sit there on the sofa and talk to you.
Is this Carlene's child?
She's the
But
only one that's children.
they don't live here.
No, they live in Newport News, Virginia. Oh, wow. And the grandbabies, Amelia is 5, she'll be 6 in April. And Lincoln is 4, he was 4 in August. And then we have 16-year-old, she's a year old, she's 2nd. And,
I won't be able to not live with my grandchildren.
well, last year I went out there 8 times.
Yeah. I'm gonna be very involved in my.
That's why I'm still in Oklahoma, not Florida, because my wife won't be great.
We FaceTime probably 20 times a day, and I'm not kidding.
Are you serious?
They FaceTime and they know that Gigi's on the phone. I have a full phone on my iPad. And I'm like, I'm lead generating, so be quiet. And then I turn down the volume just in case it get loud. And I'll make my phone calls and they listen. And so they play real estate. That's cute.
They-
That's cute.
We do too sometimes.
They're here, they like to go to houses and so they show houses.
Oh, wow.
So they come here.
Thank you guys for letting me do that.
This is the longest bit I've gone with. What are you going next? I'll be going hopefully the next month and then again April or the 6th. I don't ever miss her birthdays. I always go, but.
Nice
They're
to
in
meet
their
you.
parents don't have much there. Not even my son-in-law. It's so sad because he was the best of all three of their kids and he just, it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind. Yeah. And so they're always like, Gigi and Papa, you all are the best. And they're always, they call us, asking us to come visit them. But they never call and they're like, come on, it makes me so sad. Because they have more grandparents. They should be loved by all of us, you know?
Grandparents are a blessing, like, I don't know what I would do without mine.
I had all my grandparents until we lost my first grandmother, I was 35.
Yeah. I had 3 out of 4 of mine pass away in 2020. All within 8 months.
But my cousin just passed away, I think you guys know, Facebook that I posted, he passed away. He used to be shadow police officer in one of the public schools. And Grady knew him, Ryan Royals and his wife knew him from the high school and stuff, because he worked at the high school at high. Well, his wife passed away in June of 2018, so June of 2018. 6 months later, her dad died. So my cousin's kids lost their mom. 6 months later, lost their grandfather. 4 months later, lost their grandmother. 3 months later, lost their great grandmother, the only great grandparent they knew. And then my cousin just died in January, a week after his 55th birthday. All of that.
That is awful.
In less than 3 years, in less than 4 years.
Gosh.
It's so sad. And our cousins and my brother and sister and I, there were only 3 of us of the family, my dad's of the family. We, all 6 of us, we were raised like brothers and sisters rather than cousins. And so his kids have always called us aunt and uncle. Our kids always call them aunt and uncle. And so they think they think that they're the cousins and they know the parents are the cousins, but they look at us more as siblings, you know? And so they're like, we have no more of our parents, so one of the sons go, we're gonna do your mom now, and it's like, of course, you know that. I mean, they're in their 30s.
Yeah.
The oldest one is, I've been married 33 years, so the oldest one's 35. So I was 35 when I lost my first grandparent.
Yeah.
He's 35 and has lost all his grandparents and his parents.
I can't even imagine. I'm so blessed that my parents were really young when they had me, and so, you know, my siblings are so much younger than me. Like, my youngest brother and I are 18 years apart.
Oh my goodness.
My parents are gonna be old when they're there. You know what I mean?
My younger sister and I are 13 years apart.
Wow.
And my older to my younger, they're 19 years apart.
Yeah.
My brother and I are 20 months apart. He's 20 months older, and then I'm 4 years older than my sister. And when my dad died, it killed me to think my sister didn't get him as long as I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And mom has Alzheimer's, and I'm like,
I
I
feel
feel bad for our
bad.
kids because they're 11 and 21, and the grandfather on the other side of the family was not involved. And that they're really attached to their Gami, which is my brother-in-law's mom. That they lost my dad the day before my nephew was starting became my dad's son. 68 years old. Wow, that's too thin. So yeah. And so he's always said, I'm gonna be Papa. I don't have a Papa. And it breaks my heart because he got to have him for 4 years, but all the growing up fishing and hunting with him, like the other grandsons, my son and my older nephew had gotten to do, and all those memories. Kills me because he doesn't have those memories. Yeah. Now that he's 11 and he has to take care of my mom after school because my mom has Alzheimer's. And I'm like, that's a different world for him. She's supposed to be keeping him, but he keeps her in mind. which is good because she has Alzheimer's and keeping her in line is hard. They're probably good for each other too.
Yeah, that's awesome though.
Everybody's lives are different. You have children?
He has 3 kids and 7 grandkids.
3 kids and 7 grandkids.
Huh?
Awesome. Oh, the grandkids are.
Phones.
And then the oldest.
Hey, Jackie.
I just talked to Brian.
Oh, you've been recorded.
Hey, we don't need to make that.